It started like any other quiet day in a Texas parking lot, calm, uneventful, and bathed in sunlight. That calm, however, didn't last long. Out of nowhere, a man barreled through the parking lot of a Golden Palace Chinese buffet, not in a car, not on foot, but on a four-wheeler ATV, and his target was a parked Tesla. What followed would spark headlines, outrage, and a bizarre saga of criminal mischief fueled by what can only be described as an unrelenting thirst for attention. This man, who stands at just 5'2" and weighs in at around 450 pounds, wasn't exactly blending in with the crowd, and neither was his vehicle. Yet, for reasons still unclear, he chose that particular day to ram his ATV directly into a random Tesla Model Y. The impact caused extensive damage, totaling more than $11,000. But his attempted escape didn't last long. Police arrived quickly and took him into custody. But the story doesn't stop there, not even close. That moment in the parking lot was just the beginning of a larger, stranger story that spiraled from property damage to felony charges, fake identities, online outrage, and a national conversation about Tesla hate, digital mobs, and the psychological cost of clout chasing in the internet era. When officers confronted the suspect, things quickly escalated. Not only had he caused thousands of dollars in damage to the Tesla, but he also tried to avoid accountability by giving law enforcement a false name. That attempt didn't last long, and once his identity was confirmed, he was officially charged with felony-level criminal mischief and failure to identify himself, two serious offenses under Texas law. He was booked and placed in custody, with bail set at $15,000. And mind you, that was just for one vehicle. Authorities are now investigating his connection to at least two other damaged vehicles from the same scene. Yes, it appears that our ATV vigilante wasn't satisfied with vandalizing a single Tesla. He allegedly went on to strike multiple cars in the vicinity, all while outside a restaurant designed for peaceful buffet grazing.
Do I want to get Elon Musk out of politics? Yeah, the world's richest man, the most influential in history, is now calling the shots.
What has he done that really bothers you?
He's arrogant, drugged up, naive.
60 years, USAID, billions of dollars. Do you think it made an impact in the world?
Now, let's pause and reflect for a moment. While it's tempting to make fun of this man's size, and social media certainly has, it's more productive to ask the real questions. How does someone end up on an ATV in a parking lot full of Teslas, seemingly enraged, and choosing to inflict damage in broad daylight? What snapped? Was it political anger? A disdain for Elon Musk? A personal vendetta against electric vehicles? Or was it something deeper, a need to be seen, to go viral, to matter? The Golden Palace Buffet wasn't just a place to eat for him, it might have been a second home. And somehow, that sanctuary became the stage for a public meltdown. Instead of indulging in fried dumplings and sweet and sour chicken, he mounted his four-wheeler and decided that Tesla owners were going to pay literally. The rise of the anti-Tesla movement. Believe it or not, this wasn't an isolated incident. Across the United States, a growing number of individuals have begun targeting Teslas not for what they are mechanically, but for what they represent symbolically. Elon Musk has become a lightning rod for controversy in recent years. Whether it's his political tweets, his business decisions, or his stances on free speech, the CEO of Tesla is no longer just a tech entrepreneur, he's a cultural flashpoint. As a result, Teslas have become moving targets for those seeking to express their discontent. Vandals key them, spit on them, spray paint them with political messages, or as in Las Vegas, set them on fire with makeshift Molotov cocktails. That's right. In one extreme case, a masked individual dressed in black approached a Cybertruck parked in a lot and sprayed the word "racist" across its metallic doors. He then attempted to torch the vehicle with what authorities later confirmed was an improvised incendiary device. Surveillance footage captured the entire sequence, and thanks to some efficient police work, the suspect was eventually arrested. He now faces between 10 and 20 years in federal prison, according to the Department of Justice. And that's what it's come to. Political protest, expressed through the destruction of personal property, more specifically, Teslas. The reasoning? Vague at best. Some claim they're fighting against corporate greed. Others accuse Musk of being a fascist or an authoritarian. But when you press these individuals on specifics, when you ask them what Elon Musk actually did, they rarely have a clear answer. This phenomenon isn't new, but it's becoming more disturbing. People are now vandalizing cars, harassing owners, and committing felonies, all based on something they saw on Twitter or a TikTok rant. They don't know Elon Musk. They don't own Teslas. They're simply convinced that these things are bad, and acting against them makes them feel righteous. It's the same kind of performative outrage we've seen time and again, a modern version of book burning. Except instead of literature, it's electric cars being doused in hate. There's no rational thought behind it. These aren't protesters with organized goals or demands. They're people seeking a moment of attention, hoping their actions will be caught on camera, go viral, and give them 5 seconds of internet infamy. But here's the problem. It's not just about attention. These acts have real victims. Real people are getting their property destroyed. Insurance premiums go up. Trust in public safety erodes. And meanwhile, some of these offenders, like the man in Texas, are walking away with misdemeanors, or in the worst cases, just warnings. Not all cities are turning a blind eye, however. In some jurisdictions, vandalizing Teslas is now being treated as a form of domestic terrorism. Think that sounds extreme? Think again. If a person destroys property with the intent of intimidating a group based on ideology, which in this case includes political leanings or technological adoption that meets the definition in several states, so far, only a handful of these vandals have received severe sentences. But the precedent is growing. If more judges start handing out 15 or 20-year sentences for these crimes, you can expect the trend to die out fast. No one wants to spend 2 decades behind bars because they couldn't handle someone driving a quiet car. As it stands, though, it's still a mixed bag. In North Carolina, one Tesla vandal was recently arrested and charged, but only given a misdemeanor. That lack of consistency and legal repercussions is part of the problem. Until the penalties are severe enough to deter this behavior, we may keep seeing videos of Cybertrucks covered in graffiti, Model 3S smashed by crowbars, or ATVs crashing into cars for clout. What ties all of these incidents together, from Texas to California to Vegas, is the mindset behind them. It's not about personal gain. It's not even really about ideology. It's about attention. Some people will do anything to feel noticed, even if that means spending their lives behind bars. And with social media algorithms rewarding outrage, destruction, and virality, it's no wonder some individuals start seeing property damage as a ticket to digital relevance. The man on the ATV didn't just ram into a Tesla. He crashed into the line between rebellion and idiocy and came out the loser. He may have made a scene, but it won't be a heroic one. The only clout he'll be chasing now is behind bars, retelling a story that sounded better in his head than it ever looked on the security footage. If there's a lesson to be pulled from this chaotic mess, it's this. Clout is not worth a criminal record. Vandalism is not protest. Destruction is not change. And no amount of internet applause will make a felony feel worth it when you're sitting in a courtroom realizing your 15 seconds of fame came at the cost of your freedom. You may not agree with Tesla. You might despise Elon Musk. You might even have legitimate concerns about how technology is shaping our society. That's fine. Disagreement is healthy. But ramming your ATV into a stranger's car, lighting up a vehicle with a Molotov cocktail? That's not activism, that's lunacy dressed in the costume of outrage. And the most ironic part? Most of these vandals aren't even making a point. They're not sparking a movement or shifting public discourse. They're just ending up on police reports, losing jobs, paying restitution, and in some cases, facing 10 to 20 years behind bars. All because they wanted to be seen. But now they will be by a judge, by a jury, and by a system that's slowly waking up to the consequences of mob-fueled destruction. If you found this story unbelievable, just wait until you see what else has been happening in the Tesla hate movement. From bizarre street protests to Tesla owners being targeted with actual hate crime enhancements, the chaos doesn't stop here. Click on the next video to uncover how vandals are being hit with domestic terrorism charges and what that means for the future of activism in the digital age. or check out our full playlist. Don't forget to subscribe if you want weekly breakdowns of the most absurd stories hitting the internet, delivered with facts, insight, and just enough sarcasm to keep you sane.